For us, our origin story is based in the ash tree, where it's said that Gluskabe, our culture hero, shot an arrow into the tree, and from that tree came the first people. This is Maine's oldest art form, you know, when you really think about it, by Maine's first people. I had seen the basketry growing up. My great-grandmother was a renowned basket maker on Indian Island. A lot of basket makers sold in Bar Harbor, and you can see those historic photos. And there's a photo of basket makers right on Penobscots on Mount Kineo from 1860. I find that really fascinating. You know, and part of this like historic, you know, not just Wabanaki tradition, but really Maine too, you know, where people, indigenous people have plugged into the economy here, the tourism economy. My teacher remembers being bounced around on President Harding's knee at the Poland Spring House. She grew up with her grandmother going to sell their baskets summers at the Poland Spring House. And so really kind of fascinating to think about the basket makers in all these spaces, you know, saying we're here too and we have something to contribute. You know, how to braid grass properly, you know, how to prepare the ash, how to know like what in your materials box is going to be good for binding or weaving or standards, what we call, which would be the uprights. And so, you know, just being able to get a feel for that, and let alone, you know, making the basket. And there's a certain skill level involved there, of course. It takes a long time. Those colors just really spoke to me, I think, as, you know, kind of like the sea color, you know, with that turquoise blue really, and then the brown, and thinking about, you know, kind of organic, natural. I also feel like it's a nod to the Wabanaki subsistence food of periwinkle snails, which again is something that is well known in Passamaquoddy culture. Just trying to look at different inspiration. Again, I like the inspiration from the natural world, and also I like to recreate baskets that my great-grandmother made, and, you know, different things you see in museums and stuff. So maybe less of a contemporary basket maker than a traditional basket maker. When I went to work for the tribe, I just could see like that I might be able to make a difference. You know, with my own basketry, I was already mentoring people, even though I was learning. I was already having apprentices, and I was asked by the administrator of the folk arts program at the Maine Arts Commission, Kathleen Mundell, to help organize some meetings of basket makers from all 4 tribes. So the Holton Band of Maliseets, the Aroostook Band of Mi'kmaq, the Penobscot Nation, and the Passamaquoddy tribe. And because she had been hearing all the same things from the basket makers that she was working with and documenting, you know, like it's hard to get young people involved in the basket making. For various reasons, the basket makers that were practicing their art form couldn't get materials easily, and also the market was really poor for the baskets. And so, again, I think the average age of basket makers at that time was around 63, and there were about 55 or maybe as many as 60-something basket makers statewide in all 4 tribes. So we also were working on a series of grants through, you know, different foundations, and we started sending our basket makers out to the Santa Fe Indian Market. And this is when, you know, they could see themselves also in the indigenous art world. They saw, you know, the art form being really honored and valued. Then Jeremy Frey going on to winning the top prize in the Santa Fe Indian Market really kind of opened up, I think, the Indian market's awareness to a lot of the collectors in the Southwest to see our basketry as fine art. To have a museum want to acquire your work for a permanent collection, you know, it's a real honor. And at the same time, I want to say it's about time, you know? And so having those 2 things in tension with each other, I think, is no problem. But 10 years ago, a museum in Maine wouldn't know what to do with one of our baskets, and just said, we don't collect those, and we don't have room, and we don't really And I don't think really could fully appreciate it until the mark that the basket makers, contemporary basket makers, have been making. Like, the basket makers here in Maine are really renowned. From what I understand, for the men who harvest the trees, it takes about 60 years to grow a basket tree. We worked with the Hudson Museum at the University of Maine to create some videos, and they worked with basket makers from all 4 of the federally recognized tribes here, particularly the men who have this knowledge, to pass on this traditional ecological knowledge to next generations in case we have to leave the information behind. And it's now archived, that knowledge, at the Smithsonian, the National Museum of the American Indian. For my lifetime, I'll probably be able to find enough, hopefully have enough material for weaving the few baskets that I have left to weave. But it's these, younger basket makers I'm really concerned about. My son is 31, Caleb, and he's turning into be a really good basket maker. He has great potential. But, sometimes I think, well, why are we in such a rush to do this? What is his future as an artist going to look like? Because again, that if the trees disappear, for that many years, that's going to be really, really challenging.